It's a real pleasure to have one of the guys that I got to be honest, I'm really hoping he makes this football team because I think he could do a lot for the Bears and I love his journey and I hope he's around. 3-time All-MEAC out of Houston, Howard University. Definitely the smartest person that's a part of this interview. There's no question about that. Uh, Ian Wheeler, psychology, mental health, also like looking at becoming a doctor and of course, just a menace on the football field as well. You got a lot going on, Ian. Thanks so much for making time for us.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate y'all.
So, first things first, I'm watching you at rookie minicamp, and I'd seen like an interview with you, and I'm like, this guy's interesting, but can he play? And then I'm watching you. Apologies for not seeing you enough in college. I'm watching you at rookie minicamp. I'm like, who's the dude with the big burst over there? I mean, you've got some real speed now. I mean, I think the Bears are onto something here, Ian. I know you agree, but I'm just curious. How did it feel for you out there? Did you feel like you belonged, and just seeing yourself against NFL competition? Because you don't really know.
Right. Uh, it was definitely. First of all, I just want to say it's really a blessing to be out here. I've worked really hard. There's been a lot of people that made a lot of sacrifices to put me in the position that I'm in now. But it was definitely a like a like a I don't know, just like it was a moment for me to be out there like wearing NFL gear, really running around with these guys. And then when OTAs, not OTAs, off season, like when the vets came in, that was a whole different thing where it's like, oh, okay, this is what it's really like. But yeah, it's been weird adjusting to it, just going to being like from college to the pros. You see the difference, but I don't feel too out of place. Everybody, I'm just trying to keep up with the vets, and I think I'm doing a pretty good job so far.
I'm sure that had to have been like a little sigh of relief, like not knowing how much the speed was going to be a transition. Then you're there and you're like, okay, I think I can keep up.
Right.
So, yeah, I guess, reversing back to your decision, to go to Howard and you're a walk on, you got to earn your stripes. And that's kind of similar to what you're doing here in Chicago, essentially trying to walk onto the Bears.
Right.
How does that adversity help you kind of, stay hungrier than maybe the guy next to you that you're competing next with?
Uh, I'm very used to having to bet on myself, so I don't think there's anything different about this. They were saying this in like the rookie meetings and things like that, but if they didn't want me here, I wouldn't be here. They don't give out favors. They don't. So at the end of the day, I just have to put my best foot forward and do what I'm good at, and just continue to try to get better at least something every day. That's just been my goal, to just keep taking steps forward to be the best athlete and best football player I can be.
In the Howard locker room, did people come to you for just, I don't know, upper level questions? I
Yeah.
mean, they did, right? Because I mean, I'm reading your quotes. I'm interested in behavior and mental disorders. That's not the normal thing you hear from, the guy walking around the street, let alone the dude that's, trying to get to the NFL. And then I'm reading another one. I plan on pursuing psychiatry and eventually creating a community center to inform people and destigmatize mental health. You've also been accepted into Howard's medical school. This is all true, just to confirm what I'm reading online.
Yeah. Got accepted to Howard. I got accepted to McGovern in Houston, Texas. Listed by a few schools, but that's just part of the process. But yeah,
So, and that's, you're looking at that as something you would do after football, or I'm assuming not alongside, correct?
like almost impossible. the way this playbook looks, I could not do them at the same time. To be honest.
Yeah,
Okay.
I could imagine, Dan Orlovsky and a few other guys started showing like playbooks from like 2008 and the stack of books. And I made a joke on Twitter. I was like, I now understand why Johnny Manziel looked at that playbook and said, "Forget that," because I would have never been able to read 10 pages, let alone that entire book. But no, I do appreciate your story in terms of destigmatizing mental health. Like I've been somebody throughout my life that's battled through some different things, had to see therapists, and I grew up with attention deficit hyperactive disorder, and Mark can tell you it's probably one of the more extreme cases. I mean, I'm just fully wired, and I've gone through different anxiety and depression and things like that, just trying to make it through. to where I'm at today. So the psychology aspect is certainly something I'm interested in, asking you about it. And I guess the number one thing I'd ask you, because I'm definitely somebody that like looks inward a lot when I'm thinking about or talking with my therapist or talking with different people, my wife, trying to work through some different things. So I guess my question to you is, through psychology and what you've learned, what is the bigger reason for you to get into it, to learn about other people and the way they react to things and the way they, act to things, or yourself, learn more about yourself?
First, I wanted to say, like, I really do appreciate the fact that you are able to speak about your own experiences, because that's like one of the first steps we need to take to making mental health more of a priority, especially among men and especially among people that don't necessarily understand it. So I do appreciate you just being level and telling me that. And this is our first time speaking to each other. So for one,
it's no problem. I'm an open book. Anybody that watches our show knows I'm not afraid to tell people kind of who I am and the journey I've gotten here. And now Mark has to deal with me on a daily basis. So.
It's my sincere pleasure and aggravation all at the same time. But
going back
it's true.
To it,
he is Ian. He's an open book, and I actually am a little bit surprised that he just went down this road right now. But it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing, for real.
Well, like I said, why not when you talk about destigmatizing it? And honestly, for me, like with the whole psychology thing, I went into it, and it was about learning about myself more than the way others treat me or the way the others react to things that I do. So I guess that's my question to you is like, what have you learned more through this process in psychology, others or yourself?
So fortunately, I haven't been necessarily too afflicted by any mental disorders. Of course, everyone's mental health goes up and down depending on situations that they're going through, and everyone goes through things. But for me, I would say right now, a lot of the things I've learned have been through others' experiences and writings and books and things like that. But a lot of them, I still try to apply to my daily life. This is a stressful job, so I journal. I try to be in touch with my spirituality and things like that. Even outside of that, just knowing some basic tenets from mindfulness and other types of readings that I've done have helped me make better decisions for myself, and just being able to give advice or help others when I know that they need it or whether they ask me for it. So right now it's mostly about others, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I don't take anything away for myself when I do look into these things.
So let's apply it to football a little bit here, because you were never, guaranteed that you're going to get a ton of carries throughout your career at Howard, but I'm sure you believed that, hey, if given the opportunity, I'm going to shine. You wouldn't be here if you didn't have that mentality. So how did you handle sort of the self-validation of I'm not getting the ball, but I know that I'm good enough, period, and I'm going to keep working, versus going the other way and being in essence, F this, basically, when things are not maybe going as perfect as you'd like them to go?
Especially this past season, I've been focusing on the kind of the tenet of controlling the controllables. So when I go out there, I just do everything I can. I do everything I'm supposed to do and do the best I can at everything. And even outside of that, I read a book last year, and it was a mindfulness book. And basically the guy was talking about your grip on life, and when you hold things too tight, you can't hold them for very long. So he was saying if you think about your grip on life, you can kind of just, if you relax yourself, don't take everything too serious, because it's not the end of the world. It's going to be way easier for you to control the things that you can't control. I don't have control on whether or not the sun rises tomorrow, but I'm still going to move forward and just handle myself as I can.
I love that.
It's kind of like my golf game. If I grip the club too tight, then I put it in the woods.
I don't know if
I put it in the woods anyway, Carp.
Yeah, he's talking about a major life lesson, and you just boiled it down to your golf game. I like to push back on that.
Real. That's real. If you hold anything too tight or too loose, it's easy to mess it up. Like it's all about having an appropriate amount of control over yourself and what you can actually control. You can't control everything. We'll all go crazy trying to control everything.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, if we're going to the golf swing, or you're better loose. If you're super tight, you nailed it, Greggy. You'll put it in the woods. You guys ran the spread at Howard, correct, Ian? What's the biggest change, if anything, that you've seen so far in the Bears offense?
There's an actual fullback for one. That's one of the first things that's like obvious. Outside of that, coming from under center, we did that a little bit at Howard, nothing too crazy, just like a handful of plays. So that's just been the adjustment, like knowing, for my job in particular, like just knowing where I should be aiming when on tracks for running the ball. But really, I'll tell you the biggest adjustment has just been like play calls in general. And I know a lot of people say that, just like the transition from college to the NFL, because like I'll speak for Howard. Like certain things have certain groups, certain things will tell you certain things. Like if I get a play call, it'll be like, I'm gonna make something up, 58, and then a concept and a concept. So like at school, like that would be my protection. The 58 would be my protection in the route. So I really don't have to think at all. But here it's like they'll like a lot of things you have to just know based on like where the concepts are putting yourself, like what the concepts are, whether or not you're going to be hot, protection, stuff like that. It's just a little bit more, but not anything I can't handle. It's just different, really.
But yeah, but I'm listening to you guys talk about this, and like Tyler Scott was a rookie last year, going into his second year. He's playing wide receiver. What is he in the slot? Is he out wide? What route is he running? And then, by the way, you're lining up against an NFL football player, in front of 60, 70, 80,000, and you got to perform. A lot going on there, man. I mean, you guys, there's a reason why you guys get paid, because it's and it's got to be a major learning curve to just get off the ground, to actually be on the field and feel like you can just play. I mean, that's the sooner, I would assume, the faster you can do that, the better off you're going to be. I don't know if that makes So there's no real question there. But when you got to college football, did you feel like things were moving 1,000 miles an hour, or did you feel like you could step in and feel fairly comfortable?
First day of training camp, I was like, this is crazy. Just because like they were doing drills I've never seen before, just different stuff. But like by like we got to like day 2, day 3, I was like, okay, this isn't actually that bad. And once like first game, you get first game jitters, and you're like, oh, these guys actually do know what they're doing. But by the time you get like touched or hit the first time, you're like, oh, these are just regular people. And I feel like, not to say this like it's going to be the same level of that, because I am going against a grown man. I'm 22 years old, so I feel like I'll adjust though. I'll be all right.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. So yeah, you talked a little bit about the adjustment to the playbook and understanding the calls and stuff. So what has it been like? Because there's a whole new influx here in Chicago of offensive coaches, and I know fans are interested to see how all this comes together. I mean, you got run game coordinator, Chris Morgan, you got passing game coordinator, you got so many different quarterback coaches of different types, and then obviously Shane Waldron. So how has that looked like for you guys from an organizational standpoint? All these different coaches wearing different hats and getting you guys in line to understand what you're trying to do this early in the process.
I think obviously I haven't been here too long, but everyone seems to be on the same page. Everyone seems to be working together. It's not like a type of power trip type of thing that some coaches have. Everyone seems to be on the same page and work together, and everybody has like the same core tenets of like, we're here to win. Like we're gonna protect the ball. We're gonna be smart. We're gonna be tough. We're gonna be physical as an offense. And I just think like if you have those basic like core like tenets or values, everybody's gonna be all right, because everyone's on the same page and everyone knows what to do.
How much is Khalil Herbert? Have you been able to interact with him much here early on? Because I have a feeling once I get to see you out there in pads, once we get to training camp or this summer, like his story and his journey to make it onto this team might be similar to what you're going to try to achieve here. A guy that, played in different aspects, kickoff, running back, kind of the late round pick, and had to fight his way to make this team. And now is a big, contributor here. So, what interactions, if any, have you had with Khalil, and is he helping you kind of, learn your ropes and your journey?
Khalil's a real good dude. Definitely a nice guy and a good vet. He's looked out for me so far. All of them have, honestly. Travis and KB, Swift, and Roshan, they've all been really good guys to me. I have a really good room around me. But it's mostly just been encouragement, and if I have questions, it's not I don't feel uncomfortable asking questions to anybody, and they all make me feel welcome in general. So it's been really nice to be around them because I don't feel uncomfortable at all. I'm just trying to keep up, basically.
What were your interactions with Caleb?
Obviously we came into rookie minicamp together. He's a cool dude. I'll be honest, I thought he was gonna be taller. I don't know. I just standing next to him in the huddle. I thought he was gonna be bigger than he was, but he's a cool dude, and definitely I think he's a good leader, and he's charismatic. Haven't got to speak with him as much as some of the other rookies, just because they have their quarterback meetings and everything else. But so far he seems like a really good guy, and I'm looking forward to being his teammate moving forward.
So one of the ways that I think that hopefully the Bears are looking at you making this football team is in the backfield, but also obviously special teams. You had an 88-yard return against Robert Morris, right? You had at least a 20-yard kickoff return in 7 consecutive games, so this ain't no fluke. You had a 94-yard return against North Carolina Central, and I want you to recreate it here for us, Ian. Was any of them your favorite? Did you, or what are you most proud of what I just brought up?
Probably just the Robert Morris one, because of how that game was going. It was we had scored first, and then it was kind of dead, and then they scored. And then they kicked it off, and I took it back. And it was just it kind of just flipped the game. The whole game was switched up. They were oh, the entire sideline, especially because we're away. So that you could hear the stadium get deflated because they just scored, and just yeah, this isn't what y'all thought it was gonna be. And then we just got on a roll offensively. So it was just I felt that was just a real critical point in the game. And it was also, I didn't know this at the time, but this tied the record for the school, or I have the record. I forgot what it is, but kickoff returns, I tied it, or I had it. So that was really cool.
Have you thought about the new NFL kickoff rules and how that might impact, how you'll do your job when you're out there?
I think it's going to be a little bit easier for me in particular. Just the way that I come into kickoffs, I like running into them. I don't like sitting back and waiting. So with someone running into it, you being a kickoff player and not being able to move until I catch the ball, I'm just going to be in an advantage because you're starting from zero and I'm starting from at least 15 miles per hour by the time I catch the ball. So I think we'll do well. Coach Hightower, he's working on some stuff right now. I guess we're going to find out, today's this week, what everything's going to look like. But I'm definitely excited to try to contribute in my phase of the game.
How do you? My last one, Greg, on this one. How do you, for somebody who's a thinker, and you seem very grounded. Okay, right now I'm gonna put all that to the wind, and I'm gonna go as fast as I possibly can and risk life and limb to try to get as far as I can possibly get. How does that switch get turned on?
Once the ball's in the air, it kind of has to be a thing where you just you run to green grass. It's not the simplest, but it's a simple thing for me to do. Just your only job is to run to green grass and don't put someone else in a bad position. And if you score, you score. And I've been successful at that. So hopefully I can keep doing it.
So in terms of the kickoff rule, have you guys practiced it yet? Specifically how it's going to be run this year? Because I just think this is just such an odd thing. I'm a traditionalist. So you say I think it's going to benefit you guys. So that's great from a Bears standpoint. But I honestly hate it in a lot of ways, at least coming from a guy that's watched, Cordero Patterson and Devin Hester and some great kickoff returners here in Chicago. And now it's going to be different. So have you guys practiced this at all? Like how it's going to be played in the games?
We touched on it a little bit at OT. No, I was OTS rookie minicamp. We touched on it a little bit during minicamp, just running through drills. Nothing too specific because I think everyone was just kind of learning this on the fly. I forgot when the ruling got passed. Was it like 2 months ago or a month ago?
Right.
So everyone's just trying to like adjust and do the best they can right now. So I think during the preseason is when we're actually going to have like preseason training camp is when we're actually going to have like better ideas because everyone's kind of going off of like XFL film and just seeing what people do from that. But I'm not exactly sure to answer your question.
When they came to you in college, Ian, to do this, hey, can you go back there and return kicks? What was your initial thought process?
I was kind of waiting for it because like my freshman year, I was on the front line for kickoff return, and then like that COVID sophomore year, I was on the front line again, and I was back there. I was like, I can like at least try. I can at least do it once or twice. And I told the special teams coach, he was like, "Wheeler, go back there," and like I caught one, ran it, and they were like, "Okay, he can do it." And that was kind of it. It ended up working itself out pretty well.
You gotta advocate for yourself in this world, Greg Braggs. Right?
Yeah.
I know you know that one.
I'm no stranger to advocating for myself, Ian. Yeah. To circle back to what we were talking about earlier, and you trying to break the stigma of mental health, with people, especially adult males that are hesitant about being open. I would encourage you, and even if I could help be a bridge, like I don't know if you know Eric Kramer, who's former quarterback of the Bears. He still holds a lot of the records for passing, records here in Chicago as a quarterback. He was a quarterback in the mid-90s. He actually survived a suicide attempt, 10 or 15 years ago. He wrote a book called The Ultimate Comeback, surviving a suicide attempt. And we've had him on our show a few times. He's a really nice guy, and he's been somebody that's been very open about his journey and where he is now in his life. And one of the biggest things he talked about was, building a home team, to kids, like talking about building your home team, people that are in your circle and those are your home team, and don't add to that roster because these are the people that are always going to be by your side through thick and thin. So I guess what I would ask you is, from your studies and research and what you're doing, if there was one piece of advice you could give kids growing up to overcome what they're trying to get through in life to, just make it to being an adult, what would that be?
Probably, probably just like don't take it too serious. I think a lot of times, most of the stuff that we struggle with all stems from us applying too much pressure on ourselves. There's already all these external pressures, whether that's your family, your friends, expectations from peers, anything like that. So just knowing and being comfortable in the fact that like if I do my best, like that's all I can really do. Just being like comfortable in that and being comfortable with the idea of failing, but failure not being the end. Just because you fail in something doesn't mean that it has to be over. Like there are people who like I'm gonna stop right there. Failure does not have to be the end of anything that you want to accomplish in life. Failure is good.
Well said. And like you're making me think of one of my friends who, he was asked about some writing that he did. Like somebody was interviewing him on a book he wrote. He's like, what's your greatest success? Well, the actual act of writing, like to sit down and do it, like to put yourself out there. And in your situation, it's, who knows? You make it in the NFL, you might not make it in the NFL. You might go on to have a 10-year career. You might have a 3-year. The act that you're actually doing it, that you've gotten this far is, it's amazing. You're in you made it to the most exclusive country club on the planet. Which is why I always look up to you guys, because everybody plays sports, at least and so few get to do it at that level. So you guys have obviously worked super hard to get there, and you've handled some of the mental too.
If you weren't playing football and if you weren't trying to become a doctor, what would you want to do for you?
He's gonna be your therapist and mine.
Yeah, but outside of that stuff, like if there was something that just from a hobby standpoint, you wanted to run your own business, something to that extent, what would you say you'd want to do?
If it was like running my own business, then I would own a bakery. Okay. I like baking. I've been getting better at it. I started during COVID, so I started with I tried making donuts for like a month and a half, and I failed for a month and a half. I need to start trying again. But the week before I came out here, I made baguettes. They were okay. The color was a little different, and I didn't add enough salt. But it's just like things like that. I just enjoy the process of, because it's sciencey, but it's still kind of artsy.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can't just throw stuff and expect it to work. But baguettes, like I made croissants. Like I've been having fun with it.
Well, one of the things in a bakery that you can make is a bear claw, right? So are we gonna, are you riding the bear? I asked John Jackson this as well. Are you riding the bear claw wave? And if you are, you're into the bakery part of it. You can make bear claws. You know what I have to.
Right. I like the bear claw. I don't think it's bad. Some of the vets have said some things about it, but I think it's fine. Maybe it's because I'm with the new wave, and that's why I like it.
I had a feeling the vets were giving some shit about it because, like, when Caleb and the guys were at the Cubs game, Mark and I were there as well, stalking them, and Cole Komet was doing everything to keep us away from you guys and
becoming friends.
Yes,
what we were doing. Thank you.
Cole's our buddy. Maybe he's forced into this friendship, but I did have that feeling because like Caleb put up the claw, and I noticed behind him DJ Moore was laughing. And so I was like, I wonder, I was asking John about this dynamic about everybody, because like Bears fans are like all in on the bear claw now. It's like kind of taking the Bears nation by storm. So it is interesting to hear the locker room dynamic over this new hand gesture for Beardom.
Definitely. I like it though. I think it's cool. Like it's nice to have a little sign. I didn't have one of those at Howard for real, so it's nice to just throw something up.
Hey. Whatever works. You know that this is the most exciting time in Chicago Bears recent history, and you guys are. The rest of the city is kind of middling, and here come the Bears, and here comes Caleb, and Chicago's been starving for this for a while. So you're in a hot spot. I don't know. Does it feel like that? Can you even get a sense of that as a someone who's stepping in as a undrafted rookie trying to make the team?
A little bit. Like Coach Hightower, he was talking about that like first day. He was like, this team's starving the city's starving for a winner. So I understand that, and obviously like it's the Bears, like one of the founding teams for the NFL, a really just important part of American sports history. So I understand like everything that goes into this, and I just feel really blessed and privileged to be a part of a team with so much history and with like so many like Hall of Famers or dynamic players throughout its history.
I mean, you don't need any, you don't need any more incentive. But I'm just telling you, if you make this team and that you guys start winning, you'll never have to pay for a dinner here. You'll be it'll be a great spot to have found yourself in the NFL. True story that you one of your side goals of life is to be on Jeopardy.
That's I don't know where. I like Jeopardy. I play Jeopardy with my grandmother at home. To actually be on Jeopardy, probably not, just because half the time I wouldn't click the button. Like certain categories, I just have no idea what they have going on. I have to spend like a good 6 months getting mentally prepared for Jeopardy.
Even if Aaron Rodgers was the host of that Jeopardy show?
That would be like really cool. That'd be really cool. But I would just have to dedicate a lot of time to make myself feel like I'm prepared to go on there.
I got a couple other nuggets here. It says you admire your mom because of the way she worked hard to make the family happy. Is that right? Let's salute your mom a little bit. Give me a story on something that you look back on your mom and say that's why I'm so happy that she was my mom, and that type of thing.
There's so many things to talk about, but coming from a single parent background, my mom's been my rock throughout everything. She's been supportive of me throughout it all. whether it was, she worked at night, like long hours overnight to make sure she could provide for my younger brother and I. So whether that's like her staying up to come to a game, knowing that she has to go to work the next, like that, like in a couple hours after the game's over, it's little things, big things, honestly, like that to show like how much she cared and how much she really supported me throughout the process, and not knowing whether or not it would pay off in the end. But regardless, she always stood by my side and always had my back through it all. So little stuff like that.
It's beautiful. I love it. And last one here. You chose Howard because of the black squirrels? Can
Love
I?
black schools. Not the only reason why I chose Howard, but when I went on a tour, like the summer before my senior year, I was walking around and like the tour guy was like, "Yeah, we have black and white squirrels," and I was like, I don't know who you think you're fooling right now. I know black squirrels aren't a thing. And then like a black squirrel like shoots across the path, and I'm like, this is ridiculous. There's no way. Like I'm on an HBCU campus, they got black squirrels. It's meant to be.
Yeah, well, so on that side of it though, like I went to Iowa, and Iowa's student body was 2% black or whatever it was, and then you have the athletes, and I always wondered, like, here you are in the middle of the Midwest, and it's sweet that you're on scholarship, but I just like that experience. I just wondered how challenging it would be. It couldn't be easy. And yes, you're a celebrity when you're on the field, but then when you're walking around town, that it's just like it's just, I can't be in your skin. Obviously, I'm not in your skin. I don't know what that's like, but I just imagine it as being incredibly difficult. So it's just interesting that I'm going to Howard. I know I'm going to feel comfortable in this spot, and it's like I don't know how you would describe how the experience was, but it feels like this is like a safe cocoon for an 18 to 22-year-old to grow and learn and do all the things that in such a key time.
No, you're absolutely right. It's like one of the few opportunities that we have to like not be a minority. So being in a space like that where a lot of your teachers look like you, your peers look like you, we have like similar experiences, not necessarily the same, but like just being in a space like that where I can be like myself entirely and not feel like I'll be ostracized or judged by other people. Not to say that everyone does that, but sometimes, when you're in a group of people that don't necessarily look like you end up feeling that way. But being in that space was definitely something that like I feel confident in myself. I feel worthy. It's just little things like that not to say that you can't get it at other schools, but when you go to an HBCU, you definitely feel some of that love.
Yeah, I love it. I love hearing, hey, I'm making this choice. It's not the biggest platform necessarily college football wise, but there's a lot more going into it, and we'll see how far it could go. And here you are. So and you're not the only one, by the way, that's made it from Howard to the NFL. I know there's a bunch of names. Who kept on coming back and talking to you when you were there that made it to the league?
Antoine Bethea.
See,
Great
that's
guy.
good. I assume you'd be willing to do the same thing down the line, Ian.
Down the line, let me make sure I stick around for a little bit first.
Yeah.
Well, I'm pretty sure Antoine was on the Colts team that beat the Bears in the Super Bowl. So
he's a Super Bowl.
But you know who the Bears did beat to go to the Super Bowl that year, Ian, right?
Yeah.
They beat your New Orleans Saints. That's right, Ian. You better get on board now when you make the team here. You're Bears guy now. You got to throw the Saints to the curb.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you. Before I came out here, I was like walking around and I wore like I have a quarter zip that has like the Fleur de Lis, and I was talking to my friend. I was like, this is like the last time I can wear this in public ever again. I can't wear any of this stuff anymore. I have to just wear only Bears gear.
That's
you need this. Right. You got to get the C, baby. We can get you some CHGO gear too, if you know.
I appreciate that. That's nice. Yeah.
Well, we'll hook it up.
We appreciate all the time today.
For sure.
Definitely rooting for you here this summer. And excited to see you guys over at training camp. And I know this city is as starved as we are for a winter. We're starved to get to training camp. I know some of the players don't love training camp, but the fans, we love getting out there. And this is the season of dreaming right now, is the off season. So once we get to the reality of football, it's going to be a lot of fun to watch you guys out there competing.
Right.
Hey, last one, Ian. What looking ahead to OTAs, what's the number one thing you want to, I don't know, get yourself ready for what's coming next?
Let me make sure I answer your question right. I'm just excited to have competition against like actual people and not just coaches. So actually being able to practice against some of the vets and putting my best foot forward, whether that's giving a good look or special teams or just like knowing all my plays like the back of my hand. I'm just excited to be in this space to take the step forward to make an impact on this team.
How many hours a day are you studying over there? What's your day look like right now? That's got to be not
right now. If we're talking about during the week, I get up there around like 6:30. Don't leave until around like 5:30, 6, depending on how I'm feeling. Come back, try to stretch, try to do something to take my mind off football for a little bit, and then study for like another hour or two. Nothing too crazy right now, just because we're still like in the beginning part. So like a lot of the plays have been just repeated over and over and over again. So just really just reaffirming, like this weekend's just been me reaffirming and looking at scripts to make sure that I'm comfortable if I go out there.
So you guys are allowed in the building. You're working out, you're learning the plays basically. Is that what a day looks like?
Mm-hmm. Working out, plays, running around, meetings, a lot of meetings.
Wow.
I
didn't realize that it was that intense this early. Okay. Well, good luck, baby. Let's go.
I appreciate y'all. Thank you for all the luck and well wishes. I hope I make the team too. That's the plan.
Yeah.
Let's go.
All right, we'll see you. We'll see you coming up, Ian. Thanks so much for making time for CHGO.
Thank you. Appreciate y'all.
We all silly like the mayor.